Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my reading stats for May 2019. So, as some of you know, I had a reading slump in the middle of the month. I just didn't read. And, but I did do enough reading in the beginning of the month and at the end of the month to at least cover those 2 weeks where I barely read anything at all. I will be showing my bullet journal at the end of my graphs, but I screwed up. I graphed so bad, but I'll explain that in a minute. It looks funny. It looks even worse than it should be. Like, I wish I could redo it, but, you know, I don't care quite that much. Anyway, so I'm just going to go through my handy list here of my stats, and so let's just get into it. So for the month of May, I did actually finish 9 things. So most of them were novels. There were a couple of, there was one short story and a couple, and several were mostly novellas. So they were pretty short of, you know, the average per book probably was pretty low. But I did finish 9 things. And, oh, I didn't write this down. Dang it, I hate when I start and then I forget. Anyway, but 7 of them were physical and 2 of them were ebooks. I did not listen to any audio this month, or not enough to count. And then I did have 2 books that were manga or graphic novel type thing, and so I didn't, those don't count for the other things, but I did have a couple of those during the month, which is always what I try to strive for, is like 1 or 2 at least. So DNFs, I don't have any like that's a DNF, like I've DNF'd it for sure. I have one that's a potential library book that I've read partially that I'm not sure I'm going to complete. I might just let it go back to the library. And then I have 3 that I'm in the middle of that I know I want to return to, just right now I'm not going to read them. So they're not real DNFs, they're more put on hold. But that was quite a few to do that too. Anyway. I did not read any books for my TBR this month. I went and looked at my list and yeah, I didn't make I mean, I attempted 1 or 2, but I really didn't read any of them. I didn't finish any of them. So nothing happened from my TBR. That was kind of wasteful. Oh, that's okay. I have all those books still sitting there. They're there for me to grab. It's just so sad. I didn't get to anything I planned on, but that's the way this month went. Of the books that I read, how many were from my shelves? Really only 1. I did have 2 from my e-reader as well, so from my iPad or from my Kindle app. So technically 3 of them I owned. Of course, 1 of them was free. And then the ebooks were a couple bucks each. So, you know, I still didn't get anything. I only physically checked off 1, but it wasn't even one I paid money for. That's kind of sad. Everything else I got from the library. So that's 6 that I read from the library. So how many books at the end of the month am I still currently reading? So technically I have 5 listed that I'm currently reading. One of them is the one I'm in the middle of right now, or, you know, I'm reading actively right now. One of them is the one I kind of DNF'd, but that go back to the library. I'm just not sure I'm going to continue, so that's still considered currently reading. And then I have the 3 that I put aside that are ones they're still on my currently reading on Goodreads, and they're sitting there, but I'm not actively reading them, is how I want to put it. So they're still technically currently reading because I haven't shelved them. They're still there. I just haven't got to them. So how many books did I buy this month? So I did buy 18 books, and then I won one in a giveaway. So I brought in 19 books into my house, but only 9 of those go on my TBR because I had read 10 of those books. So that's better than normal, guys. I may not have read any within the month, which is still something I know I don't usually bring something in and read it right away. It's just, there's only a few authors that I actually do that to. Clearly I don't do it very often. But it's nice to track it to see that really that is what happens. But I only added 9 books to my TBR, even if I brought in 19 books. Ay, ay, ay. So how many, so the pages I read this month were 2,157 pages. Average per day comes out to 69.6. My goal, of course, is always to be over 50 pages a day on average for the month. So I was concerned last week, that I was not going to make this because I hadn't been reading for 2 weeks. But I read so much over Memorial Day weekend and that last week that I was able to boost my numbers high enough, almost doubled them in that time. Oh, I think I doubled my numbers that week from the first 2 weeks of the month when I was reading. So it worked out pretty good. I did pretty good. My star ratings is kind of funny. So I have, I didn't have any 5-star reads, but I did have 5 4-star reads. So that was pretty good. And then I had 3 3-star reads. And then I had 1 1-star read. Yes, I actually finished that book. Anyway, but it's still a 1-star to me. Anyway, the genres I read this month, I read 2 literary fiction books, 3 what I would consider alternate history books. Yeah. Let's just say, yeah, we'll just call them that. I had 1 nonfiction book, 1 science fiction book, and 1, I have it listed as steampunk book. So, and then I did have 1 modern classic. So I still had a diverse reading, pretty much a reading month, even though I didn't read that many books. I did want to mention I did have 2 rereads. I forgot to say this. That 2 substantial ones, so that was pretty good. They were in the beginning part of the month. I did count pages for those, but I didn't count them as books finished because I had already finished them. So I know that's kind of deceptive. So the reason I counted them is because I read them so close, because they were the Machineries of Empire series, so by Yoon-Ha Lee. And it wasn't something I'm just going to skim read or read really quickly because I didn't remember everything and I read them really closely. So I counted those pages because I was spending a lot more time than I would on a normal reread when I'm just having fun and reading what I liked. So anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there. I did reread a couple of books. So my favorite book of the month, I'm actually going to mention 2, but they're connected. So looking at this, I figured out that what I had the most fun reading was The Haunting of Tramcar 015 and A Dead Djinn in Cairo. And those are both by P. Djeli Clark. And one's a novella and one's a short story. They're connected. They're loosely connected. They're the same world, the same time period about, and then some of the characters cross. And both of them were really fun. I put those under the alternate history because it's Cairo, 1912, and it's the jinn and other supernatural things have kind of come through this from another dimension and changed the world 40 years before this. And so this is like 40 years after the aftermath and how they're dealing with it. And it deals with a couple of agents from their ministry of like supernatural things. And they're going out to figure out what's going on. Like one's the haunting and the other one is a dead djinn. So it was really, both of them are really good. Both of them I really enjoyed. I really wish both of them were novels or there was a big novel coming out in this world. Sorry, I'm going to cough. So those are my favorite of the month. I have read a lot of good things, but those were the most fun I think I had. And then my most disappointing read, or the least favorite, was Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. And I'm still on the fence if I'm ever going to read anything by her again. Sorry, I should have brought my coffee over here. I'm dying. Ghost Wall just totally disappointed me. I still think the writing was really nicely done. And the main character, I liked her. It was just everything else. First of all, it was too short. And then it went in a direction that was, I think, completely, did not make sense. I could not find justification for anything that happened in the end. There were some really beautiful and brutal parts that I think as I said, in a longer piece or one with an ending that made sense would have worked better. But because it was such a bad book by the end, I hated the end. I hated how it went because it made no sense to me. That this is definitely, I gave it a 1-star read. Even though I finished it, I read everything. It just, to me, did nothing of what it should have done. And it was, I don't know, again, I don't understand the hype behind it, why people like that book at all. It's just my own personal opinion, but I really disliked it. And the more I think about it, the more angry I get, even now, weeks later. Anyway, so that was by far the worst. I was so glad I bought that, or I got that at the library because I didn't spend any money. I was so excited. Because if I'd spent money on that, I would have been even more pissed off. Okay, so I'm going to show you my reading in pixels. So you can see this is my reading slump. And then the light color is ones I was reading under 25 pages a day. So, and then this one's one little over 50 pages a day. So I didn't, this is when I didn't read very much at all, is through here. And then I really kicked it up and did a lot, pretty good down here. And again, up here was pretty, it was fair. So, I mean, you can see that I had a massive reading slump in the middle. That was not fun. But I had to be done, and I don't regret taking the break from it. It's just, it looks bad on the numbers. So here's where I messed up. So I always mess this graph up. It's always hilarious. So here's where I was reading pretty good in the beginning part of the month, and then I kind of slid off and it goes down. And so here's where I made a mistake. So this one is an oops, that wasn't supposed to be there. That's actually this one down here. So this is supposed to be all blank. And then there's supposed to be a blank one between this one and this one. So these are all off a number. But here we are on, this is the Sunday, last Sunday, and then this is Memorial Day. So I did really good on Memorial Day. It almost went off the chart, actually. It actually went off the chart. But then I did pretty good during the week, and then my mom showed up. Anyway, so, but that shows you my reading slip was in there, even though I screwed up the thing, and I'm not pretty, and, you know, it doesn't, this is just for fun. As I said, I just track stuff for fun. I like going in, and I actually have one in here just real quick, if I can find it. I am 40 books into my goal. Well, I have down my goal on Goodreads is 52. I do that I don't change it, I just leave it there. But I'd like to be over 80. So technically I'm halfway to what I'd like to be. I mean, it would be great if I hit 100 again this year. I did 104, I think, last year. I would like to do that, but I don't feel like I'm reading that fast. So my 52 is my low goal. 80 is more where I think where I really want to hit. But if I can get over that, that'd be great. But I'm doing pretty good for my yearly, except even though I had to slow down this month. So we'll see. So that is it. That's my stats. I kind of rambled. Sorry about that, guys, and had a little coughing fit there. Anyway, do you guys love stats? I love stats. I love hearing them. I love watching all the videos of you guys who do your stats. So hopefully you're posting them soon because I love them. Anyway, if you think of anything that you want me to add to this, I can do that. Let me know. Anyway, I hope your reading month was a lot better than mine. Mine was up and down, but I made it through, and I'm on the other side. I'm reading again, so that is the main, that is the good thing. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.